They passed gifts around the table like I didn't even exist. My name wasn't on a single box, not one. Everyone laughed, cheered, and hugged each other while I just sat there, invisible. But they had no idea that the girl they thought was a failure now owns the company that paid for their champagne. For years, I was the weird cousin, the one who dropped out of college, lived in a small flat, and didn't show off anything on Instagram. Meanwhile, my siblings and cousins became doctors, lawyers, influencers, and my parents? They didn't even try to hide their disappointment. I overheard my aunt once whisper, "Lily? She's probably working at a call center or something." They always said it with that tone, the one that made it sound like I was less than human. But what they never knew was that I was working, just not for anyone else. I was building something in silence, coding at night, pitching ideas to strangers who ghosted me, losing sleep, failing, starting over, and slowly growing. This Christmas dinner was the first time I had shown up in 3 years. I came because Mom insisted. "Come on, Lily, it's family. Everyone wants to see you." She lied. When I entered the room, all eyes scanned me top to bottom. My thrift store coat, my simple dress, no jewelry, just quiet. I smiled. No one smiled back. As the gifts started getting handed out, I noticed something strange. They skipped me. One by one, they passed them around. Expensive perfume, iPads, watches, even the toddlers got luxury toys. When the last gift was unwrapped, I was still sitting there, holding nothing. My cousin Max leaned over and joked, "Guess Santa forgot you, huh?" Everyone laughed. I didn't. I looked around the table. My heart was pounding, but not because I was hurt. I was ready. They thought I had nothing to offer. They didn't know what I was about to say would flip their fake little dinner upside down. I slowly stood up. My hands weren't shaking. My voice wasn't trembling, and because this moment, I'd imagined it 1,000 times. I just never thought it would feel this satisfying. "I actually brought gifts too," I said, looking around the table. They laughed again. My uncle chuckled. "Oh? From the dollar store?" "No," I replied, pulling my phone out. "From my company's annual holiday budget." Silence. Tapped the screen and turned it toward the giant flat screen behind me. A slideshow began. Photos of an office, awards, a product launch. My company's logo, one none of them recognized, glowing across each slide. "That's not real," my sister scoffed. "What, you joined someone's team as an intern?" I smiled. "No, I own it." You could hear the mood change. My father's fork stopped mid-air. My mom looked like she couldn't breathe. Cousin Rachel blinked too many times in a row, like her brain refused to accept it. I started a software company 3 years ago. It's now valued at over $14 million. We recently closed a deal with a global logistics firm. Oh, and Max. I turned to him. "Remember when you said my ideas were cute?" He gulped. His fiancée, who'd never spoken to me directly before, suddenly looked interested. "I actually hired the firm you're interning at. You'll probably be getting tasks from my assistant next week." Dead. Silence. I walked over to the gifts, pulled out a sleek black envelope. These were supposed to be a surprise. Custom watches, travel vouchers, donations in each of your names to causes I knew you'd mock. I placed the envelope on the table, then slowly picked it back up. But then I realized I don't owe anyone here anything. Not explanations, not gifts, not kindness. I took a breath. You left me out because you thought I had nothing. Turns out I had the one thing none of you ever will: resilience. I turned to leave. That's when Dad spoke up. His voice cracked. "Wait. Lily, please, let's talk." But I didn't. Stop walking, because the dinner was over, and now they were the ones left with nothing. I didn't cry in the car. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I'd already cried all my tears years ago, the ones they never saw, the ones I shed alone in my tiny apartment, eating instant noodles while teaching myself to code through free online courses. The nights I'd stare at my cracked ceiling, wondering if maybe they were right about me, but they weren't. And tonight proved it. I reached my penthouse around midnight. The city lights blinked below like tiny reminders. Reminders that I'd made it without them. As I walked in, the motion sensor lights welcomed me home, and so did the soft ping of an email notification. Subject: Urgent proposal, 8.2 meter buyout offer. I stared at it for a second, let it sink in, then calmly set my phone down. Money didn't excite me anymore. The revenge had already been served, but just as I poured myself a glass of wine, my phone rang. It was Mom. For a second, I almost ignored it. But then, curiosity. I answered. "Lily, we need to talk," she said, her voice soft. Softer than it's been in years. "I didn't know you were doing all this. Why didn't you tell us?" I let that silence stretch for a few seconds. Because when I told you I wanted to build something of my own, you laughed. You said dreams are for people who can afford failure. I didn't mean, you did, Mom, and you weren't the only one. She was quiet again. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. Your dad's not doing well? Health-wise. He didn't want to say anything tonight, but maybe we could meet? Talk? He keeps asking about you. And just like that, the anger twisted into something colder. Confusion. Guilt. A tiny pull of sympathy. The kind you hate yourself for feeling. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to forget everything. But curiosity, it has claws. And I knew I had to face them again. But this time, on my terms. What I didn't know was the real reason they suddenly wanted me back. And trust me, it wasn't love. A week later, I agreed to meet them. Not at their house. Not at mine. I booked a private room at an upscale restaurant, one they could never afford on their own, and paid for everything in advance. I wanted the message to be clear. I hold the cards now. They arrived looking uncomfortable. My dad was thinner, weaker. He forced a smile, but his eyes couldn't meet mine. Mom looked at the chandelier instead of me, like pretending this wasn't awkward would make it less real. After the small talk died, talk about weather, traffic, and how busy everyone's been lately, Dad finally cleared his throat. "Lily, I know we've made mistakes. We misjudged you. I misjudged you." I stayed silent. He continued. "I didn't know you had that much in you. I'm proud, truly. But things have been tough. Medical bills, retirement. Your mom's been trying to hold it together." Then came the part I was waiting for. "We were wondering if you could help, just a little. Maybe cover some of the costs, as family." There it was. Not love, not regret, not connection, a transaction. I leaned back, fingers tapping the wine glass. "You want me to pay for the same people who called me a burden? Who excluded me from my own family's Christmas dinner like I was a ghost in the room?" My mom finally spoke. "We were wrong, okay? We were stupid. But people change, Lily." "No," I said calmly. "People pretend to change when they see money." I reached into my purse and pulled out 2 envelopes. I placed them on the table. This one, I slid the first toward them, is a check. Big enough to cover the medical bills, even help with retirement. Their eyes lit up. This one, I slid the second envelope beside it, is a list of conditions, non-negotiable. My dad hesitated. "Conditions?" "Yes," I said. "You will never speak down to me again. You will stop pretending like you were good parents when you were only ever good at judging. And you will never, ever ask me for anything again." Mom opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "If that's too much, you can walk away with nothing, just like I did on Christmas." Silence, heavy, cold, but honest. They picked up the check. I picked up the second envelope. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I saw fear in my father's eyes. Not because he was scared of losing money, but because he finally understood he'd lost me. I stood up, turned around, and walked away. This time, they didn't stop me. And this time, I didn't look back. Like if you've ever been underestimated. Comment if you believe success is the best revenge. Subscribe for more powerful stories that'll keep you watching till the very end. Because sometimes, the best gift is not being invited to the table, it's owning the building it's in.